Hello everyone, this is Yugioh next door, and today I'll be showing you a Shinobird deck profile. Okay, I play Shinobirds very concentrated, like I want to focus more on the spirit monsters and not on the extra deck, and using them to their full potential. Okay, so I'll get to it. So I'm gonna play 3 Shinobird Peacocks. So he's the one that's, what do you call it, push backs your opponent monsters from the field to the hand, and it's non-targeting as well. So once you ritual summon him, he returns up to 3 monsters, and then you can summon a spirit monster directly from your hand, even though it has to be level 4 or lower, and we'll get to that later. But then he's also really good in general because of how much he bypasses today's meta. Okay, next I have 3 Shinobird Peacock. So she spins 3 of your opponent's spell or traps back to the deck. And again, this is non-targeting, so she really prevents your opponent from floating, but also at the same time reacting, because since non-targeting, then they can't chain it around because you didn't technically target. Okay, and not only that, but she also summons a spirit monster directly from the deck. And remember, when you special summon a spirit monster, they don't return to the hand because technically they can't be special summoned, but the Shinobird, they bypass that condition, making her very effective and just getting rid of your opponent's spells and traps, but at the same time locking your opponent with one of the spirit monsters. Next, I'm coming to triple Aratama. So Aratama is just a normal summon searcher. So he searches a spirit monster upon normal summon and then returns back to your hand. So he's still considered the core because there are no other spirit searchers. So he is essential in the deck to get your plays consistently. Next, I have 3 Nikitama. So Nikitama, he's interesting because he gives you that additional normal summon for spirits. I personally don't use that because I don't go for any extra deck plays, but I use his graveyard effect. So when he's sent to the graveyard under any circumstance, you get to draw a card so long as you have a spirit monster on the field. Okay, and there are many ways to do that, but primarily, if you send Nikitama from your hand to the graveyard to ritual summon one of the Shinobirds, you get to draw a card for each copy, and it's not a hard one to return. So then, using 2 Nikitamas to get a Shinobird, you get to draw 2 cards, which compensates for the loss for ritual summoning, even after they come back to your hand. Okay, that makes him very vital in this deck, and it's also one of the core cards to search out with Aratama. Next, I have 3 Imano Iwato. So this card is considered a lockdown for your opponent because typically you're not going against a Shinobird mirror match. So Imano Iwato, he basically says no to your opponent because neither player can activate spirit monsters effect anywhere, not just the field, not even the graveyard, not even from the hand. So he prevents hand traps, he prevents floating effects in the graveyard. As long as he's on the field, neither player can do it. Okay, so that's where Shinobird comes in, or Shinobird Peacock, because when you special summon him, he doesn't return to the hand, and he's a 1900 beater as well. So that makes it really hard to get over, especially since your opponent can't do monster effects. So basically, once you have him out on the field, you're most likely going to win because your opponent can't react to this, unless he or she has spell trap removals. I mean, not spell trap, monster removals that are not from monster effects. Okay, the last monster card I have is triple Swordsman Revealing Light. So Swordsman Revealing Light is like a hand trap for when your opponent declares an attack. So since he has 2400 defense, he has the effect of when your opponent declares a direct attack, you can special summon him from your hand in defense mode, and then if your opponent's monster is less than his defense, then that monster gets destroyed. Okay, so I've used him for a few reasons. One, since spirit monsters come back from your hand, from the field to the hand, you're basically open for an attack. So he helps protect you, at least to make you survive for a turn. And since he's level 8 as well, he also compensates for being one of the targets to use for the Shinobird rituals. Okay, and not only that, he'll become a trade-in target as well. So overall, he's a really good card to have, and he's able to use in many different forms. Okay, and that's it for the monster section. For the spells, I have triple Shinobird Calling. Sorry if the camera zoomed in, but I don't have much space to work with. So it's just a standard ritual spell, no graveyard effects, but you can use spare monsters. You can use monsters to be tributed for ritual summon, and also spare monsters in the graveyard to be used as the cost for ritual summoning. Okay, so it becomes very flexible. Even if you say trade in one of your Shinobirds for drawing 2 cards, you still get to use that Shinobird in graveyard as a part of the ritual monster material. So overall, it's a really good card in my opinion. I like it very much. Okay, next I have pre-preparation of rites. So the standard, like, draw, what do you call it, pot of greed for rituals, because you get to search a ritual spell and ritual monster as long as the ritual spell lists that monster. So this works out with the Shinobird because, sorry, the Shinobird rituals, because they list, the spell card lists both of them. So then you get to both get the Shinobird calling and either choice of the Shino Baron or Shino Baroness Peacock. Okay, so you're really adapted to your situation, and this is basically the +1 of the deck standard that you really want to see open your hand. Next, I have triple trade-ins. So since I have a total of 9 monsters that are level 8, I can most of the time have some target for trade-in, and especially with Aratama to search out one of the Shino Baron Peacocks. Then I have instant trade-in target, especially with all the other searches as well. So this makes it very flexible, and we can use the monsters in the graveyard for further plays later on, and I'll also show you. But for example, the Shinobird Calling. Next I have 1 Foolish. So the reason I'm putting Foolish here is because once you have a spare monster on the field, you can Foolish a Nikitama, and this converts your Foolish Burial into an Upstart Goblin, basically. But also at the same time, you get a Nikitama in the graveyard to be used for ritual spells cost if you need to. Okay, so it becomes very flexible in this situation. And next, I have a triple magical mid-breaker field as my field spell. So this card has been seeing some play where it prevents your opponent from destroying your monsters during your main phase. And this works for you as well. So you can't target or destroy your opponent's monsters as well during the main phase only, though. So for example, say I normal summon Aratama and my opponent says Solemn Strike. While I don't get the effect of Aratama, they can't destroy Aratama because this prevents the destruction. And at the same time, your opponent can target it with something like an Effect Failure, or perhaps Impotence, I forgot that card, Infinite Impotence, something like that. And other really annoying spells and traps that can really be devastating to your combos. So I think it's a really good 3-up, especially since the fact that, since the fact that your Shino Baron and Baroness, they don't target, so this bypasses it, and it gives you the chance to throw your opponent's plays off the field. At the same time, your opponent can't really do much because they're limited to what they can do thanks to the magical mid-breaker field. Okay, I hope this makes sense. And again, leave any questions if you have any down in the comments below. Okay, I think it's a really good card. And you may not always see it, and having multiples of it is really harsh, especially in your opening hand, but it's really good overall. It's good protection. And finally, for traps, I run 2 Shinobird Salvation. Basically, this card works as like a once per turn negate attack just by banishing one of your spirits in a graveyard, which you'll have plentiful of throughout the game. And also at the end phase, whenever your spirit monsters return to the hand, not just the Shinobirds, but any of them, so when they return to hand, you can just pop a card that your opponent controls. So it's a really good plus overall in the long term, especially if you're in the grind game, because you're just popping cards during each end phase and negating your opponent's battle overall. So just to recap, this card does negate the battle phase by banishing your spirit monster. Next I have triple renewal of the world. Sorry if you can't see that. So this card is basically like a, how can I say this? It's like a way to cheat out your ritual monsters. So when you activate this effect, you get to banish a ritual monster from the deck. Okay, so you can't use its other effects the same turn because it's a hard once per turn effect. And after, say, you use the first effect during your opponent's turn, during your turn, you can either choose to add that ritual monster that you banished back to your hand, or you can actually ritual summon it by either sending a level 8 monster from the hand or field to the graveyard, or by shuffling one of the level 8 monsters from your graveyard to the deck. So because it's so flexible on how you summon it, you can just simply, I search out, or I banish Shino Baron Peacock from my deck during my opponent's turn, then protect myself, or at least survive, And then the next turn, I can just summon it by cheesing this out by using Swordsman of Revealing Light on my field or hand as the cost. So it's just really good. Think of it as like copies 4 to 6 of your Shinobird Calling. I think it's really good overall. Next, I have one Urgent Ritual Art. So this card lets you copy one of your ritual spells, and then it becomes that effect. So if you use your Shinobird Calling during your turn, and then you have your necessary materials in hand and one of the Shinobirds in your hand, or sorry, Shinobarons in your hand, then you use it during your opponent's turn to either spin back 3 of their spells and traps, or push back 3 of your opponent's monsters during their turn. So it's a really good interruption spell, but at the same time, I only think one of is necessary, since having multiple up early on is really bricky. So that's why I run only one. Next, my fun card, I run Triple Dig of Destiny. So this card is kind of like a funny troll card, because whenever you take battle damage, you just basically draw a card. But the thing is, if your opponent destroys it with their card effect, and it's sent to the graveyard, you get to draw a card for each copy. So the fun thing I like to do about this is, like, if your opponent twin twisters 2 of them at the same time, and they both actually hit the graveyard, then you get to draw a total of 4 cards. So the reason why this is because it's chain 1, chain 2 once they hit the graveyard, and then chain 2, since there's 2 copies, you get to draw 2, and then chain 1, again, since there's 2 copies of the same card, you get to draw another 2. So total, that's 4 cards, and if your opponent twin twisters, since it's -2 and then you draw 2, you draw 4, even though 2 of your cards sent to the graveyard, you technically +4 in the end. So it's a really funny card. I like it. A lot of opponents tend to destroy everything these days, so why not put this in, right? You get to draw for basically your opponent's silly mistakes. And that's it for the Shinobird deck profile. Leave your comments on what you think, and maybe some suggestions, because this is a casual deck to me. Oops, sorry. Let me just find the Shinobird, Shinobaron. Okay. I prefer playing casual, but at the same time, I played this deck against many meta-relevant decks, and even then, I still managed to beat them sometimes in a match because of how flexible this deck can be and how versatile overall. Okay, so thank you for watching. Have a good day.